what up, my good people? Welcome to Convicted to Grow podcast. I'm your girl, Coach Tressa, motivational speaker, confidence, and business coach. And y'all, listen, I'm excited. Listen, y'all already know, long overdue, but I finally got it, right? Got out of my head and finally launched a podcast. So make sure you check out the first two episodes on the why behind the Convicted to Grow brand. But y'all, guess what? I have my very first guest, and I'm so excited because this is a dope brother, friend, fam. Like, he's a transformational speaker, change agent, helping young men in from the ages of 25 all the way to 65 on all walks of life. He is the CEO of Carlton Young LLC. You can go pick him up at I am 8020 Nation on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. But we'll say that again later. I'm excited. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a friend, he's a veteran. I met this man last year, and he'll talk a little bit more about it in the podcast. But I met him at the Next Level Speakers Conference, and like I said, we're in a community of other amazing speakers, and so out of that community, I was able to make some great connections with other like-minded individuals who are doing the same thing that I'm doing. So, without further ado, I want you to give me a warm shout out welcome to Mr. Carlton Young, who also goes by CY.
What's happening, family? What's happening, family? How you doing today? I'm honored. The first guest on the Convicted to Grow podcast. You make a brother feel like he's special or something, you know. But I definitely am excited to be here. I'm excited to see you launching out, right, casting your nets, launching out into the deep, and I'm excited for this conversation. And I'm looking forward to impacting the world together as a team, as a collaboration, as a unit. This is just the beginning. So, hey, let's get it. Let's go. Let's grow.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. And so to the audience who's listening, listen, as I grow in this journey, they're going to be trial and error, but just be with me, be patient with me. And I'm excited. So without further ado, I'm going to say CY because you like to be called CY. Share a bit of your background.
Okay, man. I'm a native of Birmingham, Alabama. I was born to a 19-year-old teenager. Actually, I just graduated from high school from Birmingham, Alabama herself. That's a whole nother story, and we probably will delve off into that. Grew up as a military brat. My mom ended up marrying a man who I called my dad when I was 4 years old, and we moved around. We've been to Germany, Montana, Florida, moved back to Alabama. Went to college at Alabama A&M. Let's go Bulldogs. You know what I mean? I'm the bros, root to the Q's. I'm a husband, like I said, a father, a son, a friend, a dad. I'm just a man who's still trying to walk in my divine purpose, impact the world for the better, and make use of the gifts that God has given me, right? I'm trying not to bury those talents in the ground and waste them. That's a little bit about me. I love fitness. I love trying to take care of myself. I love just being around positive people who are putting good energy out into the atmosphere. And I just want to see people win. So, that's one reason why I do what I do, because my motto is everybody eats B. That's from Paid in Full, of course. But I literally want to see everybody eat, because what you put on your table, I can't eat. What I put on my table, you can't eat. And there's enough food for everybody to get plenty. It's a buffet out here, right? It's a smorgasbord of opportunities for everybody to get the food that they want on their plate. So let's just go get it.
I love it. I love it. Um, so with that being said, what were some of the or biggest challenges, obstacles you faced along your journey? Like, pretty much, if you can give me a specific moment or experience that maybe had tested your conviction that propelled you forward to where you are today.
Wow, that's like an evolving thing, right? As you grow and you start to really lean into who you're supposed to be, and you start dealing with your trauma, you start digging those weeds up out the garden. See, a lot of times we take the weeds and we just pull them up at the surface, But when you really start to dig down to the root and pull those weeds up, you start exposing things that you buried way deep down in your psyche and in your mind. So I think some of the things that shaped me is, not never knowing my biological father. I always thought that that was something that really didn't impact me. But even as I get older and I start to deal with that, even to this day, I was thinking the other day, it's like I have trust issues, right? And you really don't realize that you have trust issues until you start to deal with these things and go to counseling. Go get counseling. Jesus is definitely enough, but that's why he put counselors here too, for you to help you deal with it. And so, just that was one thing that really kind of was an epiphany to me. Probably one of the biggest, most defining moments of my life was getting shot at point blank range. Um,
What age
seeing
was
that
that?
I was 25. Just looking down the barrel of that pistol, hearing that gun go off, and realizing that you got shot, and going through that was really a defining moment. And then here recently, one of the more defining moments of my life is like leaning into my purpose and getting into the proximity of people who made me see what was possible and what was available to me. Because a lot of times you know that there's something in you and there's something that you should be doing, but you're kind of like bouncing all over the place trying to figure it out. And a lot of times you want to do the thing that you love to do, but that might not be the thing you're supposed to do. So that just getting to that next level speakers conference, which we talk about, shout out to the next level fam. And just going through that whole weekend, which was just transformational and amazing. That was one of the bigger defining moments in my recent life. And then, as we go a couple weeks past the next level um, conference, and I have get laid off from my job because the company was purchased by a private equity firm, and the company that brought in that purchased us, kind of wanted to put their people in place. So you know how that works. They keep you there long enough to get everything situated, and then they start replacing you. So those are some of the more defining moments of my life that really resonate in my head. We could we could go probably 4 or 5 episodes and talk about that type of stuff.
Right. And my heart goes out to, I mean, no one wants to get shot. And no, if you've never been shot before, you don't know what that feels like. Um that is I ain't gonna say I'm assuming, I know that's a traumatic experience for you. And would you say, and I know, I mean, there's people to this day to get, just getting shot every day. And was that a pivotal moment where you turned your life around in terms of, okay, I gotta be a better version of myself. I gotta walk this thing, and really truly be the testimony now. Because that is something that is hard to talk about. And let me, I guess my question to you is also is, there are people who have had traumatic experiences like yourself, but for some reason they keep living in the past, like whether it's abuse, molestation, being shot, whatever it looks like. And it's hard for them to live on the now. It's hard for them to live in in their future. How did you shift and pivot where you went so much, like, when was your turning point to really say, okay, I can't keep being the victim of this, you know, I gotta really truly change, because otherwise, if I keep living in the past, because it was traumatic.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that probably saved my life. As crazy as it is to say that getting shot can save your life, because literally was an inch within losing my life. But probably at that age, probably wasn't making the wisest decisions, and I still make decisions that probably ain't the best decisions. I'm learning that it's as you get older and you really start to understand things. But just that within itself, that let me know that people would always tell you, you got something on you, you're supposed to be XYZ. I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? And that right there was probably the catalyst to say, okay, maybe there is some validity to it, because people have died from less, right? Literally, 3, 4 feet in front of me, seeing the trigger get squeezed and getting shot and going through, 2, 3 surgeries, staying in the hospital almost a month. That really was a defining moment for me, and it allowed me to understand that there was a bigger purpose for my life.
Mhm.
And if we're being honest with you, I think I don't tell many people this. That was probably like the fourth attempt on my life. I literally have fell out of a rolling vehicle turning the corner. The door just slung open when I was like 13, 14. God blessed me that there was nobody else in the turning lane because I probably would have got ran over by a car.
Mm.
Me and my mom were going to a choir competition when I was about 14, 15. We were stationed in Montana, and this is in like Rogers Pass is one of the highest passes in Montana. And it starts snowing and sleeting, and the vehicle literally starts sliding to the edge of the road, and there's no guardrail. And so, if I say Rogers Pass is the highest peak elevation peak within the state of Montana, so if that van falls, there's literally nobody's going to get us. That van probably still be there with our bones. That was, us probably, it was probably about 20 people in 2 vans. Car wreck when I was about 22 that I just got up and walked away from, and then finally getting shot. So yeah, it's been a couple attempts on my life, but that just now really lets me know that there was something deep within me that the devil, the enemy, did not want me to release to this world. Because here's the thing about whoever is listening to this podcast: what you have in you is already in you.
Mm.
You just need to cultivate that thing. And here's the thing about it: the devil can't stop what God put in you, but he can stop you or me from releasing it. So he sends his assassins after us, right, to take our lives. He assassinates our mind where we don't believe we're strong enough to do what God has sent us to do, right? He sends, and that's what I tell people. You have to realize that you have demons assigned to you to stop you from getting to your purpose. Tressa has them assigned to her. I have them assigned to me. Anytime you got a purpose, he literally has a hit squad out to get you, to keep you from doing what you need to do. So those are the defining moments for me. Those are some of the things that I went through to get to this point. And still being a man and dealing with so much trauma from growing up. I say any black person in the United States of America probably has PTSD. So I do have PTSD and anxiety from getting shot. I go to counseling for that. So that was something that I used to be ashamed of, but I'm not ashamed of it anymore because, like they said at the conference, Tressa, me opening my mouth, you opening your mouth, or somebody listening to this this podcast, opening their mouth, literally will save somebody else's life.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. When I tell you that you are anointed and appointed on so many levels, like you gave me chill bumps just to give me a brief rundown of your. When they say the cat has 9 lives, wow.
Well, I'm not gonna keep chasing them. I'm like,
We
here I am.
we
I'm
stop.
gonna
We
do it.
stop. We didn't
Hey,
stop, but
I'm ready for the job. Right?
you
Sign me
ready
up
for
for
the
the job.
job. And I always say obedience bursts favor. It's
Mm-hmm.
that obedience and the fact that you didn't give up. You could have been any other place. You could have said, go against the grain. Them late night talks with God. You could have just said, you know what, because He gives us free will, and you
Mm-hmm.
could have said, you know what, I'm gonna do my thing, be out here just being rebellious. And
Right.
the fact that you didn't, you said, okay, I accept the calling I have over my life, man. That's dope. Like that, it really just gave me chill bumps just to hear that, because you just never know when they say don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
Just never know what that person have endured.
Exactly. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like, you look at somebody and you don't know their backstory, right?
Right.
It's so much hate on people that are performing at a high level in whatever space they are, but you don't know what price they paid to get to that space they got.
Yep.
Everybody ain't sold their soul to the devil to get there, to get to success. Some people really had to pay a price to get where they needed to get. And here's the thing I know about God. God is not going to use you and not turn around and bless you.
Come on now.
Why would he use you when you still be living below a standard when God is a God of excellence? If you allow him to use you, he's going to bless you at some point in the process. It's still like life is gonna be hard, Tressa. You have to figure out which hard you want to endure. And you can, like I always tell people, you can endure the pain of discipline or you can endure the pain of regret.
Ooh. Okay. I like, oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. I mean, when did you realize you had a voice to be a speaker, a change agent, transformational agent? When did you realize? I know you just talked about where you're at today, but when was it when you realized, okay, I'm more than the corporate 9 to 5. I'm more than the husband, the dad. I got too many skills and gifts inside of me that I need to be, like you said, Carlton Young LLC, being the brand, being the creative executive officer of your vision. You know, when
Right.
God gives you vision, He gives you provision. So when was that turning point for you?
It's been the last couple of years. It's like a lot of times you command a presence that you don't even realize that you command, and you be just kind of doing your thing, living your life. And again, I always try to put something positive in the world. There's enough negativity out here, right? There's enough hate out here. So I've always been one that tries to be a little bit more positive about the things that I put out on my social media feeds and just in life. And so a lot of times people will walk up to me and be like, man, I see what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I really enjoy, keep doing what you're doing. And again, they don't never like your post. They don't never
Oh,
comment on your post, but they're watching your post. Or somebody will hit you up if you don't post and be like, man, how come you ain't posting the last couple of days? I didn't even know you was paying attention. So those and just the fulfillment I would get out of putting positive energy into the world, right? Because you never know what a person is going through, and then sometimes what you say can make a person's day or allow them to keep on pushing forward because you're going through what they've been through. I tell people all the time, I'm not meant for everybody, but I do have my circle of influence in this world. There's over 8 billion people in this world. There's somebody who has, I'm not going to say the same DNA per se, but they have the same story that I have. So me being who I'm supposed to be, my authentic self, who God designed me to be, is going to connect with them, and that's going to help them. So just by doing those type of things, and then like I said, when we went to the conference, I started kind of watching, it's crazy how my journey kind of went, because it went from like personal development. I always believed in like just growing and becoming a better person, and I've been doing that for several years. And then it evolved to more of a spiritual development, and then it evolved to like finding overall purpose. And so just doing that, and just always like when you feel like there's something better for you out there, when you got that tug and that pull that there is something that you should be doing, or there's something inside of you that you should be sharing, it's there for a reason, right? Like you said, he doesn't give you the vision without provision. The provision is the gift he's put in you, and then he's going to give you the vision. So I tell people all the time, you have to be careful what you feed this computer, this machine, because it's like a projector, right? Your lens is just going to project the movie that you play in here. And so as you feed yourself positive things and you get on this search for knowledge and just wanting to improve yourself, it just starts to overflow, and you see that the impact that you are making goes further than you even imagine.
that part. And I think a lot of people don't understand that power of proximity,
Mm-hmm.
that power, like you said, personal development. Shout out to the next level speakers community. Like I said, it's amazing community, and we both were obedient last year by making the investment to go. We both in different levels in our lives last year, and like I said, half of us, we made some great connections, and look at us now. I would have
Right.
never met you without the conference. So shout out to the community and the leaders there, Jeremy Anderson, Dr. Eric Thomas, and Inky Johnson, and the whole coaches and team over there. But um, even with the conference, I know after the conference, I think we all were on this high, because
Mm-hmm.
we getting fed, right? We're
Right.
getting fed with the word. We're getting fed with just the community aspect, meeting connections. I mean, and we'll talk about it when you get ready to put your plug in for your podcast. I mean, you met someone, and now you guys ain't even been a year. You got your own podcast. But
Yep.
but even coming from that whole ride of being on that high of being excited, because I'm gonna tell you something. When you go to a conference and workshop, you supposed to expect to leave with something. And
Right.
I think I told you this other day, the return on investment for me, not only was I in the presence of all these, you know, goats of the speaking arenas, but the proximity of us, we are all trying to get to that next level. And
Mm-hmm.
so the investment was that look at me today, like, you know how many other speakers and people have walked through that I can say, hey, tap in, I need you to come interview. But for you, you were on that high. And now I want to go into that where that shift took for you unexpectedly, where you end up, like you said, losing your job. Because I know a lot of times in life, our setbacks can sometimes stop the momentum of us. Like we there, and then all of a sudden, and you know how people say, "Dad, I take 5 steps forward to get knocked 10 steps back." So it was like, it's just kind of give me briefly where when that happened, and of course, happened unexpectedly. Mentally, where was you at, and what was your next move in that situation?
Well, it happened unexpectedly, but I kind of had a unction in my spirit that change was about to happen. So again, sometimes when you're looking for your lane and where you need to be, God will kind of give you the forewarning and kind of give you the steps. And so what happened for me with that is I've always had a desire to be an entrepreneur. I just tried different things and just they weren't the space that I should have been in, right? So when I found this space, it seemed like it was a perfect fit for my skill set, what God had placed inside of me. It didn't happen the way I desired it to happen. The way I desired it to happen is I go build up this speaking business, this speaking coaching training business. I get it to match my old company income or close to it. Then I shoot them the deuces, or I continue to do both and just double dip, right? But
Right.
what I did learn during that pace is a lot of times if things happen the way that you want them to happen, you probably think you did it. In this season of life, this is a season of like for me, it's like a season of trust and faith, exercising faith. So God's like, I'm gonna pull this rug from up under you and you're gonna have to rely on me. Beautiful thing about God is he made provision where I didn't have to worry about paying my bills for an extended period of
Oh,
time. And then I was able to literally work on my business and put the time, get the infrastructure built and the energy to do what I needed to be. Because sometimes you're saying you want to do something, but I was a sales director and I ran the West region for the company. I had like 4 managers work for me. At the height of it was like 5 managers and like 25 reps working for me. And basically it was Zoom calls from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. at night because most of my team was on the West Coast. So now you have a built-in crutch to say, well, I'm not going to I ain't going to work on it tonight because I'm tired. But you have to get to the space in life where you work harder on yourself and your dreams than you do on that 9 to 5. So God, again, he just kind of pulled every excuse out of the way for me. And it's like now you have the energy and space to do it. And as far as like, taking a couple steps back, you have to look at it this way. The further you pull a bow and arrow, the farther the arrow goes. If you barely pull that arrow's gonna fall right there on the ground. But when you pull it back, and I'm talking about you get that trajectory on it and you shoot it out, the further you go. So you have to look at it. Sometimes the further God is pulling you back, the higher height he's gonna launch you to. You just have to understand and trust in your vision, trust who God has designed you to be, and you have to believe that I'm gonna get where I'm going. Doubt is gonna come, right?
uh-huh.
That's the enemy's job is to make you doubt who you are, what you can become, because you have something to say. So he's going to throw every obstacle in your way to make sure that you are, doubting your purpose, doubting your call, doubting your ability. But then also the other piece of that puzzle is sometimes God is going to say, I'm going to pull all this out the way so you'll know who did it. And that was me, not you, not your skill, not your ability. I'm going to align the pieces like a chess player where it works out exactly the way I need it to for you to understand who did this for you. And then here's the other piece to it. A lot of times when we do things our way, we don't trust God. We trust ourselves. And God wants us to get to the point where not we trust him, but he trusts us. That's the bigger play. Is like, can God trust you with the heights and the depths that he wants to take you to? And how does he know he can't trust you if you haven't paid the price for anything? That goes back to the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. If you don't pay the cost for anything,
Mm.
you're not going to appreciate it. And you got to remember the next version of yourself is going to cost you the previous version of who you were and even the people that you were around. Because even in this season of my life, my circle has changed a little bit. I still got my, core group of friends, but then God has placed people that are more aligned with where he wants me to go. So again, all that came because as they say, it's a cost to the oil.
Ooh.
It's a cost to the anointing. It's a cost to the levels that you want to get to in life. If you look at anybody that's accomplishing anything in this world, they pay the cost with relationships, with maybe health, with maybe financial. Like it's the gamut of things that people pay for, right? But if you can withstand the initial onslaught, you can win the war.
I like it. I like it. Wow. I mean, whew, that's a whole and this has been, when did you get laid off? Last what?
So we came from the Next Level Speakers Conference towards the end of June, right? Like the third week in June. So the week before, the week of the 4th of July.
Wow. And do you feel like if you hadn't got laid off from your job, had you have moved this aggressively towards your entrepreneurship
No, like
goal?
I said, I would be, kind of dealing with what they're doing, right? With what they wanted me to do, right? I had responsibilities, and you know, I had the comfortability of that check coming in, and a lot of times that's the bribe that is paid in order for you to get who you need to become.
Right.
Sometimes God will say, "I'll take that." Let's say you're making $125,000 a year. He says, if you trust me, I'll take that $125,000 a year and make it $125,000 a month. You just got to trust me to be able to do it. And do you believe, right?
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. Um, so in this season for you, do you have an accountability team, or can you share any mentors or role models that has influenced your journey of growth to this point?
Yeah, I call it like my board of directors. I definitely have a board of directors. If you look at any huge corporation, there's a CEO, then he has a board of directors that he has to answer to ensure that the organization is continuing down the path that's best for the organization. Even though it's his vision that he's kind of casting, the board of directors still has the input on how it goes. So yeah, I got my board of directors. I got people I met within the Next Level fam. I got my boy Kevon Empowers, and the great thing about our relationship is he's younger than me, but he's been in this game a little bit longer than me, and he's
Wow.
doing it at a high level. He's very successful at it. So why would I think, oh, I'm his elder and I know more because I've done XYZ in life? That's crazy if you got somebody in the space being successful doing the things that you're trying to do, that you don't lean into and get that information. So like you said, me and him have a podcast together. We bounce ideas off each other. I have a good friend of mine. His name is Robert Johnson. He goes by the Corporate Dropout. Very intelligent brother, smart. We kind of, iron sharpens iron. We chat amongst each other. Shoot, even me and you chatted, here and there, even like about EPKs. You gave me some feedback on that. I changed that as a result of that. Like, you have to be in a space no matter where you're going. If you're trying to improve, you have to be accountable, you have to be coachable, and you have to be humble, right?
Uh-huh.
Because you don't know it all. And you should always find somebody that is going the same way you're going. And then you should have somebody like a step up higher than you, right? Where you're trying to have somebody that's there. And then you can have somebody behind you so you can reach back and pull them up. So it's always a constant cycle of people improving. So yeah, I have a circle of people that I'm very tight with, and then my wife, right? My wife is super intelligent. A lot of times women can see the things that we don't see. She definitely gives me feedback on a lot of things. Shout out to my wife, Kara,
Yay.
very super dupe, intelligent, beautiful, educated. I call her Director Babe. She's very super, super intelligent. She gives me feedback. So, just being around people that really want to see you become better. People say, "Why don't you love me for me?" The person that loves you is not going to let you be who you are. They're going
Mm.
to force you to be better and level up in life. So you have to be around people that are going to force you to level up. They're not going to let you be set and stuck in your ways. And that's what I try to surround myself with. And then every day I get up, I'm intentional about what I do. I get up in the morning, I pray, I read my Bible, and then I'm going to listen to something I call personal development. It could be either a book, reading a book, or listening to a book on Audible, listening to somebody on YouTube that is in the space that I want to get in the space that I'm trying to go, where it's just giving out game and positive information, because it's all about your mindset, right? And so I'm always looking at ways to improve my mindset and master my mindset.
That is so important. I like how you just said being coachable. I think a lot of times that's why I don't like the words when people say, "Oh, I'm a solopreneur."
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna get far as a solopreneur. Even as an entrepreneur, it's so important to be coachable, be intentional, because, like you said, um, we don't know it all.
Right.
And one of the biggest things that you can do to hinder your growth is thinking you know it all and won't accept feedback or accept, like you said, that personal development and things like that. So I think that is important to be coachable, get into communities on the levels you're trying to go. Like ET, I would say, let your next move be your best move. So that's definitely important. And of course, we're about to wrap up, but so tell me about a little bit about this podcast you got going on.
Okay, so me and my guy Kevon Empowers, we have a podcast called the Elevated Mindset Podcast. You know, aimed at men 21 to probably 65, 70. Just depends on who you are. He gives a younger perspective. Very very wise young man that has a good head on his shoulder. I give a more seasoned perspective. And what we're talking about is just the principles that it takes for men to become successful, to be leaders that we're intended to be, and how you can better yourself outside of all the trauma, all the stuff that you dealt with in life, right? I tell people this all the time. If you don't deal with your trauma or demons, you're going to find solace in people, places, and things. And you don't want that, right? So you have to deal with those. And so you got two people that have come from different places, geographical locations, but have similar experiences in life. Both of us have been shot, but both of us have taken the opportunity to better ourselves. He's a little bit younger than I am. He's in his 20s. I'm in my 50s, and we're trying to, build that bridge in between people so they don't have to make those same mistakes that I've made, going through my journey, and at the same time kind of like mentoring Kevin in certain spaces to kind of give him game as well. So it's called the Elevated Mindset Podcast. It's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, on all the streaming platforms. That's one of the podcasts that I do with him. And then I have my own podcast, which is called The Genesis.
You have two podcasts?
Yeah, yeah. So me and Kevin got the Elevated Mindset. And then I just released the first episode of my podcast about 2 weeks ago. It's called The Genesis, and it's called The Renaissance of Manhood. And again, this is basically taking men back to like the beginning of like the Bible and how we were supposed to be, right? So there's some principles that God said at the beginning: be fruitful, multiply, subdue, and have dominion. I personally believe, this is just my mindset, is that if we as men follow those principles every day, if you be fruitful over not just having babies, but if you be fruitful over the information that God gives you, and you build upon that, right? And you cultivate that information and multiply it.
Uh,
Once you multiply it, you can get your gift out there and do the things that you're required to do, whatever that may be. And then if you subdue, which is yourself, the things that can trip you up, right? Like your inner demons, your issues, If you deal with those, because every day is going to be something that comes up that you're going to have to subdue, like your temper, your penchant for chasing women, whatever it may be, right? There's a different, everybody has a different thing that they need to subdue. And
Right.
then if you have dominion, dominion just means to lead. So if you as a man lead, like you follow God, let God lead you, leading everybody else that you need to be leading is going to be easy. So
Mhm.
that's where we talk about those principles and how you can apply them in your everyday life, right? And if you do that thing intentionally every day, I, there's no way you can't be blessed, right? The Bible is not a book of rules, it's a book of principles. If you follow said principle, you get results. But again, here's the other piece to it. God is a God of, he's an unconditional God of conditions. He says, if you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. The key word is if you be willing to be obedient, then you get X, Y, Z. So if you look through the Bible, there's if you do X, Y, you get Z. So
Right.
it's just kind of talking on those principles, trying to like build men up for we get back in our rightful place. Hopefully be able to help some young men not go down the path that I went down. I'm gonna have some of the guests as well. We're gonna try to give you game right on how to become better,
I like.
practical stuff that you can apply every day. A lot of times people talking to you at a high level. It's just like even when you leave a conference, right? Your expectations are high, right?
Yep.
Because you have all this information and your energy is high and you're motivated. But now that you have an expectation, you need to execute. So I always say, you must have expectations, then you have to execute, then you'll get the results. So expectation plus execution equal results. It's basically faith without works is dead.
You need to put that on a t-shirt.
I might just do that. Expectation plus execution.
Listen, all the quotes you be dropping in, listen, you need to put that on a shirt. I can see it. Yes. Wow. And I'll go ahead, definitely with the URL links. I'll make sure I put those in the description of this episode. So you make sure you guys follow him too. We'll make sure we have your IG, your TikTok, all your links so people can follow you. And the one thing I will say to you, I commend you on is your consistency in content. Like you said, people watching, but for some reason, people don't even like, comment, or share, but they watching. And
Mm-hmm.
like and comment and share. It don't cost to do that. It don't
Right.
cost to acknowledge, and and that's why I always say either people gonna be a spectator or a creator. Which one are
Mhm.
you? And the fact that, like I said, you are, and I see you in my timeline coming in. I always do my best to like or at least listen or favorite and save it later because you do come with a word and keep putting out the content, keep spreading the love, keep spreading the motivation because people need to hear your story. They need
Mhm.
to understand that your setback was preparing you for your combat.
That's it.
And you are where you are now because it wasn't nothing but the grace of God, but it was also you being obedient and telling yourself, like, I come too far to go back to what I used to be. Right now, in this season, my alignment is in my assignment. And so I commend you for being CY 80/20 nation. Now, real quick, because people may ask, what is the 80/20 about?
Okay, so 80/20 is basically it's a twofold meaning, right?
Okay.
From a physical fitness standpoint, so I'm big on like holistic health, right?
Okay.
We don't want to be imbalanced. You don't want to be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. We don't want you to, be so focused on your fitness that the other pieces to the other puzzle are not working. So basically, 80% of what you eat and 20% of working out is going to give you a healthy, active lifestyle. And then on the flip side, 20% of your inputs give you 80% of your outputs. So if
Mm,
you don't like what you're getting out, you better look at what you're putting in.
I like that. I like that. Wow, you got so much. So tell the people before we wrap up, like what's in store for 2024 for CY?
Well, what's in store for 2024? We're going to continue to, follow the blueprint that God has laid out. We're going to continue to drop this information on you. What everyone has to understand, and it took me a while to get it to, consistency compounds. The more consistent you are with the thing that you're supposed to be doing, Just like being, the Bible says, if you be faithful with a few things, I'll make you rule over many. And then a lot of people forget that last piece of that verse where he says, now come and enjoy the master's pleasure. Because he was faithful with a few things, so he can become rule over many. So I'm going to continue to put the information out that God has given me, right? I'm working, actually started working on a book. Who would have thought it? It's crazy, but I'm working on a book. I am doing the two podcasts, and then you will be seeing me on stages somewhere, sharing my story, corporate stages, school stages, faith-based stages, conferences, the whole nine. Wherever God leads me to go speak and share my story, that's what I plan on doing. Again, we will be just pushing the needle of positivity, transformation forward, right? Because
Right.
if you don't transform the way that you think, then you're just wasting your time.
That part.
So I want to, affect change in the world and just show people that no matter where you come from, what you've been through, what you've done, you can change, you can become better, you can make a difference.
Yes, I see it. I see you having a community, building your own community. I know you said a book, but I also see a workbook in you too.
No, okay, okay.
I see a workbook where you can use it to corporate leaders and those, maybe it's a 30-day mindset shift change. Like I'm telling you, that's that right there. People love, that tangible things that's going to
Mhm.
help them. I don't know why God told me to say that, but I also see a
Yeah, I
work.
receive it. I receive it.
I see a workbook in you, and like I said, I'm so proud of you and the things that you got going on, and I wish you nothing but the best. And my last question, of course, I'm gonna put you on the spot. So, of course, like I said, you are my first guest.
Mhm.
So, when you think, and this is every question to every guest, so I'm gonna ask the same thing because at the end of the year, I'm gonna compile and just like I said, I'm documenting this journey as we go. But when you think of convicted to grow, what does convicted to grow mean to you?
It means that the things that you're doing, they're not serving you well. And so you have to change the way that you go about your daily business because you're not where you desire to be, and you have this intense, immense desire inside of you to be better. And so it won't let you rest until you change the way that you move in your daily journey of life. So that to me is what convicted to grow means, is what I'm doing is not serving me well, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
That part. Listen, y'all heard it here first. Carlton Young, CY at I am 8020 Nation. Please make sure you guys go pick him up. He's my friend, my fam. Again, on IG, he's always. Are you live on IG? If so, what days are you on live?
I usually go on live on Tuesdays, Tuesday evenings around 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, please make sure y'all go check him out. And if you have followed him from this podcast, go and comment on one of his posts. Okay, I'm gonna challenge you guys. Okay, go comment on one of his posts and put "convicted to grow," and that way we know you came from this podcast. And we love you. And until next time, peace out.
Peace out.